What is up everyone, Clay here, and I thought with the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020 that this would actually be a pretty good time to give you a top 10 list of my favorite Nintendo Switch games that I personally played in 2019. Now, these games did not have to release in 2019, I just had to play them for the first time this past year. And these games are in no specific order. I took 10 games, put them in a random generator, hit go, and this was the list that it spit out, and that's how I'm going to read them off. So there's no number 1 best game, number 10 worst game, they're just there in a list. And before you all yell at me, Fire Emblem Three Houses is not going to be on this list simply because I did not play it. Now with all of that out of the way, no more delays, let's go ahead and check out my top 10 games of 2019 for the Nintendo Switch. Pokemon Sword and Shield released on November 15th of this year, 2019, and since I bought Sword, it has quickly risen to the top of my most played games list ever. With this being the latest generation of Pokemon, Game Freak saw a lot of backlash from their decisions leading up to the game's release. From their decision to nix a significant portion of the Pokédex included in the game, the dropping of support for the National Dex and no longer allowing you to bring over every Pokemon you've ever caught, and the seemingly 3DS style graphics, this game was hated by everyone before it even launched. Personally, the exclusion of the National Dex was a bummer, but not a deal breaker. Not being able to bring all my loyal Pocket Monsters with me forced me to use some new faces this time around. I'm not going to discredit anyone who is upset about this, however, since I can see both sides. I will say that I haven't been invested in a Pokemon game like this since Crystal. The max raid battles are a cool addition and fun to take part in, and breeding has gotten me to complete my very first living dex ever in a Pokemon game. The graphics, personally, take a back seat to how much fun I'm having with the rest of the game. Are they fantastic? Nah. Are they horrendous? Nope. They're just middling. And I'm having a great time, but honestly, I do expect more from Game Freak on their next release. River City Girls really hit that sweet spot that I've been looking for in a beat 'em up for a very long time. Ever since Daniel and I covered some of the Konami beat 'em ups for Video Game Book Club, I've been searching for one that evoked that same feeling, but with some extras added in. Released on September 5th, River City Girls was co-developed by WayForward and Arc System Works, and became one of my sleeper hits of 2019. Combining tight controls, a fun story, expansive gameplay with moveset customizations, co-op, and incredibly well done animation and pixel art, River City Girls took over our Extra Life charity stream in a way I didn't think it would. Mix in some amazing music and background tracks, and in my opinion, you've got yourself one of the best beat 'em ups on the console. And if I'm being completely honest, I probably enjoy this game more than I ever did the original River City Ransom. I absolutely cannot make a favorite games list and not have Cuphead be a part of it. Ever since I played it when it first released on Xbox, I have been in love with this game. So much so that Cuphead was probably the very first game that ever made me say, they should port this to the Switch. And on April 18th, my wish was granted. The boss rush, run and gun, platforming-ish game that so perfectly captures that rubber hose animation style of the 1930s left the confines of Xbox exclusivity and made its way onto Nintendo's hybrid console. This game is more than just the hand-drawn animation. It's the music, the controls, unique boss battles with multiple sections, old school difficulty, co-op mayhem. All of that gives this game every ounce of charm it needs and deserves. With a variety of weapons, abilities, and special powers, Cuphead makes mastering your way through not only challenging but fun and rewarding. Forget Mr. King Dice and the Devil. Your frustration will be your hardest fight. Unfortunately, Cuphead's DLC continues to get delayed, but if they are taking their time to make it as tight and precise as the base game, I'll keep waiting.
Bye. Night night.
Night night.
Luigi's Mansion 3 released on Halloween and made its return to a home console for the first time in 18 years. But if you count the Switch as a handheld instead, then it's only been 6 years. The first Luigi's Mansion was an interesting experiment in giving Luigi the spotlight for a console launch title with the GameCube. This time around, Mario Odyssey did beat Luigi by almost a full 2 years. However, I personally enjoyed Luigi's Mansion 3 more than I did Odyssey. The story remains fairly similar to early titles in the series, but the different settings of each floor really make this game stand out. The boss battles are each unique in their own way, and while some can be ridiculously easy, others can be frustratingly difficult. The visuals are absolutely stunning, proving once again that Nintendo knows how to squeeze every last drop of performance from their system. Each time I finished a floor in the hotel and grabbed the elevator button, I couldn't wait to see how the next floor was themed. The included multiplayer modes are fine, but honestly, they're not for me. If you haven't yet, do yourself a favor and play this game. And hey, Gooigi for Smash, right? Am I right? Come on, Gooigi for Smash. Moonlighter may have been released in 2018, but I didn't get my hands on it until 2019 when a couple of my coworkers recommended it to me after they started playing it. The first thing that drew me in was the art style. I absolutely love newer pixel art games. Developers are able to include much more animation than the early days of pixel art, and that is shown off in Moonlighter. As a casual fan of roguelites, the dungeon mechanics really kept me glued to this game. They aren't the most complex, but constantly changing the layout each time you enter to scavenge for goods for your shop keeps the gameplay loop a little more interesting. The other piece to this fantastic game is that you sell the treasure you find in the dungeons in your own shop. You set the prices, which can either make your customers mad if they are too high, or lose you money if they are too low. Find that perfect middle ground where everyone is happy and you can make some mad cash. Cash that you'll need in order to afford those new weapons and armor, which will help you progress further into each dungeon, defeating the bosses along the way. Improve your shop and your town in order to aid you on your quest as well, and eventually you will be powerful enough to take on the final dungeon and solve the game's biggest mystery. Okay, so you know me, and you had to know that Super Mario Maker 2 was going to be on this list. With my previous work for Mario Maker Monday back on the Wii U, to Mario Maker Tuesdays on the Switch, and the planned return of that series coming in early 2020, this was a no-brainer. Though Nintendo blew us away with Super Mario Maker on the Wii U, the Switch installment is no slouch. With a semi-story mode included this time around where you help rebuild Princess Peach's castle, to the recent random inclusion of the Master Sword and Link, Nintendo has given us another gem of a game. 3D World assets are included this time around with what appears to be more room for even more Mario-themed tile sets, like, say, Super Mario Bros. 2 USA version, maybe? Question mark? Everything still feels just as good as it did before, however, I will take a little away from the level creator as it just doesn't feel as good as the Wii U builder. There's really not much more to say about this one other than keep a lookout for Mario Maker Tuesday 2.0 coming sometime soon. And you know how to make sure that you get notified, so I don't need to tell you again. Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening technically released in 1993, but this remake they gave us this year was pretty incredible. If you can forgive the frame rate drops and the Vaseline blur on the top and the bottom, what they did to this game is truly remarkable. Many people criticize the price point of this game being a full $60, but with the amount of work that they put into it, I can absolutely understand why Nintendo felt it was worth that much. However, maybe $50 could have been a little bit better. The added dungeon builder is admittedly very lackluster and feels more tacked on last minute than anything else. The Fisher-Price-esque look of everything in the world really got my attention. I absolutely love that art style, and while I know it turns some people away, it really kept me around. They stayed relatively true to the original game, though they did seem to make the normal difficulty a little bit easier this time around. Not once during my playtime did I ever worry about hearts or dying. I'm a huge fan of games that go for a certain look, and I think they completely nailed it here. Not to mention that now we've basically got 2 incredibly good Zelda games on the Switch, not even 3 years into its life. So if you're a fan of Zelda but you don't want to spend $60 on this game, maybe find it used, but it is absolutely worth your time to give this game a shot. Like I said, I love when games go for something special and unique, and that's exactly what Nintendo did again with Yoshi's Crafted World. Just like with Yoshi's Woolly World on the Wii U, Nintendo gave Yoshi his very own uniquely themed game. The charm and music are definitely what made this one of my tops for 2019. Overall, the game really isn't difficult and your average player will have no issue making their way through it, but the experience you have throughout will make this worth your while. The papercraft look, homemade and DIY looking levels all leave you with a smile on your face, or at least they did with me. Not only are the levels cleverly designed, but the overall graphics look great as well. Yoshi performs how you would expect him to, and keeping to Yoshi game traditions, you collect red coins, flowers, and hearts throughout the different levels. Like I said, Yoshi's Crafted World is not a difficult game. But if you are looking for something with a chill atmosphere and a laid-back playstyle, definitely give this one a look if you have the chance. Steamworld Dig 2 may have come out 2 years ago now, and I have heard nothing but good things about it from all angles. So when it dropped significantly during an eShop sale this year, I picked it and every other Steamworld game up at once. And to be honest, this spot was pretty much between Dig 2 and Steamworld Hand of Gilgamesh, the deck building Steamworld game. Ultimately, this won out due to its Metroidvania style that kept me playing long after I thought I was done. With the ability to upgrade Dorothy, the game's main character, your progression through the different areas is only hindered by where you explore and how well you can handle your abilities and enemies around you. As you make your way through the different dungeons and boss fights, you begin to uncover more about this world and what is happening around you. Eventually, you will need to use all of your tools at your disposal in order to overcome the final challenge, but getting there is some of the most fun I've had with the game in recent memory. Digging through dirt for gemstones doesn't sound overly exciting, but Steamworld Dig 2 makes it more exciting than I thought possible. With excellent music and tight controls, Image and Form delivers with another solid entry in the Steamworld series. So if you haven't yet, please go check this game out. I was behind on looking at it, and I regret it all the time.
Colors weave into a spire of flame. Distant sparks call to a past still unnamed.
And here it is, the game that I never played until November of 2019, nearly a full year after its release. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate had its coming out party for me during Extra Life when I issued the challenge for 10 different people to post #ClayForSmash in the stream chat. Once that happened, I went out during the stream and bought the game. We then played and streamed Ultimate for 2+ hours, and while I still don't have every character just yet, I am having a lot of fun with this game. The graphics are outstanding and the music is simply otherworldly. Mash that together with the fact that you can play as nearly every Nintendo character you could possibly think of. Even ones whose games aren't officially available here. I'm looking at you, Lucas. Taking in all of that, you have yourself one of the best games on the platform. Not to mention the amount of third-party characters Nintendo has managed to bring into the game, along with remixed music from their respective titles and stages to give that full effect. I'm not a huge fighting game guy, but the party fighting aspect in Smash makes this incredibly enjoyable. The moves feel tight and controls are on point, so I know when I lose, it's 100% my fault for being bad at the game. Nintendo really knocked it out of the park with this entry in the Smash Bros. Franchise, and I'm honestly a little bummed that I waited until late this year to play it. Now, all they need is a TV commercial as good as the original.
No matter how they toss the dice, it had to be the only one for me is you.
This is just a small handful of the games that I played this year, and so many more could have been on this list, but I did want to keep it short and concise. If you all played any games that weren't on this list, leave a comment down there in that comment section letting me know which games were some of your favorites of 2019, and I'll definitely give them a look in 2020. But until next time, like I said, this wasn't an actual top 10 list. This was just 10 of my favorite games. So, Happy New Year, and until next time, take care everyone.